Mayonnaise is a simple ingredient with a critical mission in professional kitchens. So why is selecting the right mayonnaise so complex? From extra heavy duty to real super premium, the category terminology causes unnecessary confusion. And the lack of standardization can lead to disappointing results, dissatisfied customers, and costly waste. Visit venturafoods.com/mayo needs to help you find the right mayonnaise for your operation.
And welcome to Menu Talk. I'm Pat Cobe, Senior Menu Editor at Restaurant Business, and I am here with
Bret Thorn, Senior Food and Beverage Editor of Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Hospitality. Welcome, everybody, and hello, Pat. How you doing?
I'm good. This is the Monday after July 4th weekend, so we all had 3 days off and had a lot of opportunities to eat and drink and watch fireworks.
Yeah, it was great, and I've decided I'm still figuring out how to live in my new neighborhood. I've just lived there over a little over a year, and regular listeners will know that I live on the Sheepshead Bay Brighton Beach border in Brooklyn, in the deep south of Brooklyn. And I've decided that every day I don't have to go into the office this summer. I'm going to walk down to Brighton Beach and wriggle my toes in the sand because it feels good. And also walking in the sand is good for your balance. It's great for exfoliating your feet. And it feels good.
And it's beautiful to look at the ocean while you're taking a walk. I mean, can't beat that.
Yeah. And so I stayed in my neighborhood for July 4th. Because there are fireworks the next neighborhood over in Coney Island. And so I just went to the boardwalk, which parts of New York City, especially along, I think it was on the East River this year, the Macy's fireworks, like it's mobbed. There are so many people.
Yeah.
On Brighton Beach, it's full. And probably if I'd walked down to Coney Beach, it would be more crowded. But, it was a friendly crowd and there was breathing room. Like you weren't just all squished together. And also there are, young hooligans on the beach who go rogue and do their own fireworks. And I don't know where they get them, but they get high quality rogue fireworks. So that's fun too. I hope no one got hurt. I didn't.
No, I watched it from a rooftop, and from other rooftops, you saw people setting off pretty high quality, fireworks. I mean, I only had a partial view because I was on the west side, but I could see the harbor, but not the Brooklyn Bridge. But that was good enough.
Well, I just learned that Coney Island has fireworks every Friday during the summer. So maybe that's
I love fireworks, and I love the beach, and I love the summer. So you are a lucky guy.
Come on down.
Yeah, maybe
we can sip Georgian white wine if we want, because it's a thing they do in Brighton Beach. I had Chardonnay on Friday, a lovely French Chardonnay at a relatively new restaurant on Brighton Beach called Breva, owned by the Apici Group, who have restaurants in New York City. And I hung out there and drank some wine and talked to people, and then went and walked on the boardwalk. Lovely. Very nice.
Well, summer's also a great time. There are a lot of rooftop bars, and it's fun to have happy hour outside. I actually did that, but not on a rooftop, just on the sidewalk at Mermaid Inn, which there are a few of them in Manhattan. And they do this amazing happy hour every day, even on weekends, from 4:30 to 6:30, and the drinks are $10, and they have lots of little nibbles like fish tacos, shrimp sliders, oysters for $1.50 each. Everything's about $1.50 or $2 each. And it's great to go with friends, and you can order, a few of these, and the bill is really very mild, gentle.
Which is nice these days. And was it last week or the week before where I talked about the oyster happy hour thing in Boston, where they sell oysters for $1 or $2?
Yeah.
Because in Massachusetts, you can't discount drinks because every state has its own stuff. But, it makes sense that more restaurants are doing this because who can afford to go out to dinner anymore? I mean, I had a friend come to town, and we had some cocktails, and then we had pasta at I Fiori, Wonderful restaurant, delicious pasta. It was sensational, but each pasta dish was like $40 for pasta.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when we saw the menu, we were like, "Oh!" But when we tasted it, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's also the ambiance and the service. But
All of that. And it's not like you're getting gouged. Things cost more. So I don't know how these restaurants are managing happy hour, but I'm glad they are because
well, I guess it's the volume they get. It was really jammed inside. We were lucky enough to get a table outside, so that was nice.
and it happened to be beautiful this weekend. So
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Finally didn't rain, which was a miracle.
yes,
Yeah.
right now down south it's muggy, but I mean down south in Brooklyn where I live, it's muggy this morning and a little drizzly.
Yeah, it's
But there were a bunch of July 4th specials. I mean, there always are, but there seem to be more this year, or seem to have been more since we're talking in the past tense. And I think it's interesting that a lot of them are red, white, and blue. And I know that is obviously those are the colors of the American flag, but they're also the colors of the British and the French and the Russian and the Thai and the North Korean flag. And like something like 29 countries have red, white, and blue as their flag's colors. Doesn't diminish their importance to American summer culture, but still, there's a lot, including Starbucks doesn't do like super limited time offers. Like some chains really thrive on. Here's something available for 2 days, but Starbucks doesn't usually. But they had a Fireworks Frappuccino
mhm.
that was their summer berry refresher that they blended with coconut milk and ice, and it had raspberry flavored pearls, and they topped it with strawberry puree and vanilla sweet cream cold foam. And this is the first of their strato drinks, which are frappuccinos topped with cold foam.
It's
Which
almost
is,
like a dirty soda,
I mean, you make a good point
Yeah.
about that. And people love adding new things to drinks, and
Mhm.
part of that, I mean, it's fun, but I think most of it really is the visual appeal and the desire of people to share it on social media. And I posted a video of me drinking the Fireworks Frappuccino. They gave me a preview of it. So I posted it on social media, and a barista commented that like she's glad people like it, but it is a pain to make. She said there was something
Yeah,
like
it has a lot of
21 steps
yeah.
in making the Firework Frappuccino. So
Well, it's interesting because Dutch Bros just came out with like a line of mocktails. So some chains are calling them mocktails, some are calling them dirty sodas, some are just calling them refreshers. But
yes, Whataburger has come out with refreshers. The
yes,
first one is a prickly pear raspberry one, which has raspberries and lemon and prickly pear. And I'm pretty sure it's the first of a series of
yeah, it definitely is.
fancy drinks that they're gonna roll out. And they didn't call them mocktails; they just call them.
No, but it is definitely like a cocktail without the alcohol. I mean, because prickly pear margaritas, as we know, are big and
Yeah,
sounds like a similar blend.
yes, and we know there's a lot of stuff going on with drinks, and Buffalo Wild Wings joined in with what they call the Mountain Dew Radler, which is equal parts Mountain Dew and beer. In this particular case, Goose Island Wild Herd Kolsch, which Goose Island Brewery, based in Chicago, makes special for Buffalo Wild Wings. So it's a double collab, although Goose Island isn't part of the marketing initiative. But
Mm.
so I had to call a restaurant to find out what beer they're using. It is indeed Goose Island Wild Herd
That's
Kolsch, and it's only about $4, so that's a good
uh-huh.
price.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great price.
and it,
Happy hour price.
right, and it sounds weird, beer mixed with soda, but it's a pretty common theme in Europe. It's called the Radler because that's what they call it in Bavaria in Germany, uh, where like at some point in the 19th century there were some, at least according to what I looked up on the internet, there were these cyclists who who were all thirsty and rolled up to this inn. And in order to stretch out the amount of beer that the innkeeper had, he mixed it with some sort of citrus soda and a star.
Interesting.
And then,
Kind of like a shandy too, like
right, exactly. A shandy is, I the distinction, I think, is that a shandy can be lemon lime soda or lemonade, and a radler can be like grapefruit soda or some other types of citrusy soda. But I think it really probably has more to do with like what people want to drink and what they want to call it.
it's a
And
fine
it's,
line.
and it ties into the sweet and sour trend that's going on. It ties into the low alcohol trend, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, another big trend that we keep seeing are chicken sandwiches. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they two big chains came out with chicken sandwiches, revamped kind of their chicken sandwich recently. One is White Castle, who just launched a crispy chicken slider, and it's like the first redo of their slider in many years. So it's new and improved. And also, Culver's upgraded their chicken sandwich. So now they have a spicy chicken sandwich, a grilled chicken, and a regular breaded chicken sandwich. But all of them are new recipes and new techniques that they're using to kind of make them better and improve them.
Seems like something that I might want to try. Too bad there are no Culvers in New York City. But obviously, we have McDonald's, and they just started introducing spicy breakfast items. They have a new spicy McMuffin, a spicy sausage McMuffin, and a spicy sausage McMuffin with egg. Um, I wonder how spicy they are.
Well, where is the spice? Is it on is there a sauce or?
Yes, it has a spicy pepper sauce.
Well,
I do.
I was at the fancy food show too last week, and sauces were like in abundance there, and they're using all different kinds of peppers now that from all parts of the world. So that was really interesting. I mean, sauces and chicken sandwiches are not going away.
No. Well, and sauces really make sense because it's a an easy way to innovate your menu without being a huge operational challenge because they already know how to put sauce on stuff. You just ask them to please put a different sauce on.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes it easy.
Yes.
Well, speaking of sauce, I did an interview this week with Haim Asher, who is the VP of Culinary at Lucille's Barbecue and Smokehouse out in California. But they actually, even though it's based in California, it's really a Southern style chain with about 19 locations now. And he's brought in some Carolina barbecue influences because he grew up in Myrtle Beach. He's been there about 3 years now. And so he grew up in Myrtle Beach. And so he brought in some of that Carolina mustardy, vinegary barbecue tradition. And he was a really cool guy to talk to because in addition to doing barbecue there, each location has their own smoker. But in addition to doing that, they also have a lot of just Southern style items. And he told me the best selling appetizer was deviled eggs, which I thought was really interesting because that's something that people make at home.
Yes. Well, and like 15 years ago, there were no deviled eggs on menus, and now they're relatively common. And it's been sort of an interesting cultural shift to see the prevalence of deviled eggs on menus. I love them, but yeah, even my mother, who hated cooking, made deviled eggs.
Yeah. Did she
Uh,
make them with like a pastry tube or just pile them?
no, absolutely not. She with a spoon,
But
like
that's very
like like
admirable. It's a lot of work.
yeah. And my dad used to make them, but my mom outlived him, and she started making deviled eggs. It was a very straightforward recipe, and typically a Southern cook isn't going to pull out a pastry bag; they're going to use a spoon. And it was just like traditional, like French's mustard, mayonnaise, and seasoned salt, and that was it, mixed with the boiled yolk, obviously. Um, Delicious.
Yeah. Well, Haim talks a lot about deviled eggs and also the brisket and baby back ribs, which are their best sellers. So, yeah, give a
Yeah,
listen.
I always thought Lucille's was based in Texas. I don't know why.
Yeah, they have a lot of Texas, impact influence, but not really based in Texas. But anyway, yeah, so give a listen to Haim and talking about Lucille's barbecue.
Looking forward to it.
Hi there, this is Menu Talk with Pat Cobe, and I'm here with Haim Asher, who's the Vice President of Culinary for Lucille's Barbecue and Smokehouse. Is that correct?
That's right. Good morning.
Good morning. So tell me how many locations there are of Lucille's now.
Currently, we have 19 locations in 3 different states. So we have presence in California, in Nevada, as well as Arizona.
Oh, neat. And it's a casual dining concept or fast casual?
We're a casual family restaurant. Been around for this year will be 26 years, and we've been appealing to families and guests for our entire lifespan. So yeah, we're a very family friendly dining establishment.
That's great. Well, how long have you been there? You don't look like you've been there 26 years for sure.
Well, you're really sweet, and if this is going to be on video, I hope your listeners agree. But I've been with the company for just north of 3 years.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the culinary journey that brought you to Lucille's.
Well, for me, I grew up in the restaurant business. My parents owned some restaurants, and they wanted me to go to college to be a lawyer or a doctor or something else. And I had already, gotten the bug at that point. So went to culinary school and, worked on the East Coast in New York and Boston and Florida. Moved to California with the last company that I was with. And since COVID, I kind of been trying to find my next role, and that's how I ended up with Hoffman Group. So, not to get too into the granular details, because I'm sure people people don't want a history lesson about me. It's been a very enriching journey, and I've had a lot of great experience working with a lot of great folks, and I'm just really happy to be with Lucille's.
So what is Hoffman the parent company?
That's right. Hoffman Hospitality Group is the group that owns and operates Lucille Smokehouse, as well as Hoff's Hut, which is sort of an institution in Southern California. We're celebrating our 74th birthday with Hoff's Hut this year.
Wow.
And our other concept just celebrated 10 years last year, and that's Saint and Second. And we're about to open a new location in Manhattan Beach, and we're getting ready for that. Super excited.
Great. So do you oversee that as well?
I do, yes. I'm part of the team that oversees culinary for all 3 concepts.
Oh, neat. And so what was your vision for the menu at Lucille's when you first arrived, and how have you put that vision to practice?
I'm originally from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's where I grew up. Spent the first 20 years of my life there. So I have this, really big influence from Southern and Low Country cuisine. And when I came to Lucille's, my goal was to do 2 things. One is honor the craft of barbecue, and 2 is authentically represent the cuisine of that part of the country, since we are sort of a Southern smokehouse restaurant. So we focus a lot on barbecue, but we also have other offerings if people are not necessarily into smoked food or they just want something a little bit different. My goal is to give guests an immersive experience. When they come to our restaurants, they're really highly themed. There's all this beautiful artwork and great music playing and nice space to sit in. So I just kind of wanted to round out that experience with great food that was, representative of that region. So that's more or less a high level approach as to, our philosophy on how food comes to life at Lucille's.
Cool. Well, the barbecue category keeps evolving, and it seems like, it's definitely growing. There are a lot more concepts in that category. So how have you noticed in the 3 years since you've been there how barbecue has changed? How has it evolved recently?
So to me, there's a lot of international influence making its way into regional American barbecue. So just to back up a little bit, obviously barbecue has evolved significantly over the years by just the regions within America. So, different parts of the country use different cuts of meat from different animals to make the barbecue that is of their region. And over the years, it's developed and evolved in a way that um, the core elements of that region are still intact, but people are bringing in a lot of sort of I call it a high-low, where they bring in these really high-end ingredients to sort of what has historically been a low-brow food like barbecue.
Oh,
And I think that is sort of the where barbecue is moving to in terms of trends in this day and age. And for some places that are not bound by an overarching theme outside of barbecue, it's super easy to be able to, pulse in some of these more relevant food trend sort of tuned offerings. But, for us, we want to stay super authentic. So you may not see Lucille's participating in something like barbecued ramen or the introduction of caviar or something like that into our menu. But certainly, I love going in places that do those types of things, because then it just gets you it really gets you in a space where you're inspired to create things.
so are you bringing in global flavors? Like I know, like California has a lot of Asian and Mexican influences.
Again, at Lucille's, that's not our I don't know if that's why guests come to us. I think guests come to us because they want a more southern hospitality, authentic experience. And um, it's one is not better or worse than the other. I just think that we serve a particular need. And so when we do dabble with flavors outside of the Southeast and the Texas and the Midwest regions, it has to be done in a way that is not disruptive to that experience.
Okay. So what are some of the, top sellers or the signatures that you can never take off the menu?
Baby back ribs is a huge one for us. Depending on what region you're in, a barbecue may or may not feature baby back ribs. I will say that, the Kansas City Barbecue Society, the KCBS, who really does a lot of the major tournaments and competitions, their cut of choice is St. Louis ribs. So we offer both because the general consensus amongst large groups of people is there's a preference of baby back ribs over St. Louis ribs, at least in Southern California. So, or I don't even want to speak that broadly, at least to the guests that come to our restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows in our product mix and our sales mix. Um, but we do offer both because we do again want to offer an authentic barbecue experience. So ribs are huge for us. Brisket is another big seller for us. We move through a significant amount of brisket at our 19 restaurants, and it's just a really beautiful item. Every night, every day before we load our smokers with brisket for the next day. We track how much we need to produce. If we run out, we run out. It's just kind of the nature of barbecue, especially when you're talking about smoking something that takes 12 hours in some cases, potentially longer. So, brisket, ribs, and we have other great specialty items. Our gumbo is really popular with our guests. Our southern fried chicken with country gravy is super popular for our guests as well. And interestingly enough, in previous lives, I've tried to do sort of I dare I say gourmet deviled eggs on our menus, and they have just not worked. But at Lucille's, strangely enough, our deviled eggs are our number one appetizer, and they're fantastic. They're really really good. We make everything from scratch in the restaurant. The filling, the beautiful garnish. We garnish ours with a little crispy chicken skin on top for some texture and really great flavor, and our guests really love it, and so do we.
Do you do pulled pork too?
Of course, yes. We
Yeah.
smoke pork shoulder every night. Same like the brisket, goes on around the same time, comes off around the same time, and we take a lot of pride in our barbecue, and I think the best for me, the best expressions of a great barbecue place are typically brisket, St. Louis ribs, and pulled pork. Those are my three go-tos when I go to a barbecue place. And I think we do a really nice job with all three of those proteins.
And how about the sauces? Do you have like a choice of styles that people can order in the different meats in?
Well, there's a few items that we will lightly glaze in the kitchen before they go out to the guests. So our ribs and our smoked half chicken will get a light glaze of barbecue sauce, and then they're finished on the grill just to kind of tack up and caramelize the sauce a little bit. But we don't douse anything in sauce. And then outside of that, we really don't sauce any of our other meats. And the reason is some people have a preference for no sauce. And we have our three signature sauces available on the table. We have our original barbecue sauce, our spicy barbecue sauce, and then what we call a Memphis barbecue sauce, which is it's not a true Tennessee red, but it's a very interesting mix. So I would say maybe a Kansas City style and a mustard-based barbecue sauce. Um, it's really, really yummy, and it's been around for quite some time. It's my favorite of our three core sauces. And occasionally we'll do things that we pulse in and out different barbecue sauces. We've done an Alabama white barbecue sauce in the past. Currently today we have a whiskey barbecue sauce that we are featuring on one of our limited offerings. So we love our sauce, but we know that not everybody does love sauce. So we try to be mindful of that when we're creating dishes for the restaurant.
And are the smokers inside the restaurants or are they outside?
They are right in the middle of the dining room. So
Oh,
most of our
cool.
restaurants, when you walk in, you that's the first thing you'll see is the host and our smoker. And it's amazing when you talk to some of our guests and when we review some of our consumer insight data. A lot of people don't realize that we have our smokers right in the dining room or that we smoke meat on site every day. But it is a huge part of our brand and what we do every single day. And those smokers are on 7 days a week.
Well, I know sides are really important when you're having barbecue too. So what are some of your signature sides?
So some of our signature sides, our guest favorites, obviously they love our garlic mashed potatoes, our mac and cheese. We do a really nice creamy style mac and cheese. Our baked beans are they're a labor of love. We don't cut any corners there. We start off with dried beans. We soak them. We saute our aromatics. We add our beans. We build our liquor, and then we just let them simmer until they're done. So they take a few hours to make, but very well worth it. I think our potato salad is super good. Really, really special potato salad made from absolute scratch in the restaurant. We're not just mixing mayonnaise on cooked potatoes. We're actually, introducing the dressing to potatoes while they're still warm. So that gets sort of sucked into the potato, and the dressing is seasoning the potatoes from the inside out. Um, and then we have some really great premium sides like our corn pudding or our loaded mashed potatoes, which are super popular with cheese, sour cream, butter, bacon, all the fixins basically. So there's no shortage of sides at Lucille's, I will tell you that.
Have you introduced any of those or are they all signatures on the menu?
So the one side I think that I have on the menu today that well, there's two of them. So we do limited time offerings. So there's times where we have menu items that are just there for a short while. But for the core, our barbecue ranch, I'm sorry, our bacon ranch mac and cheese is a signature side that was introduced on the menu recently, as well as our corn pudding, which if you're from the South or have ever been to the South, a lot of people over there call it cornbread cornbread pudding or something like that. But imagine a slightly creamier cornbread, and then we garnish it with some of our signature apple butter that we serve with our biscuits and just a little bit of scallion. It's a really great side, and even with the apple butter, you could probably throw a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it and have it for dessert.
Wow.
It's really
Sounds
good.
yummy. I didn't have lunch yet, so I think you're making me very hungry. Now, as far as I know, beverages are kind of like a hotbed of innovation right now in a lot of restaurants. Are you doing anything special there?
We have a really talented beverage director named Chris Martinez, and he leads a lot of the innovation for our beverages. And, as of late, we've been putting a good amount of focus on spirit-free drinks, just because there's a big trend of people moving away from consuming alcohol, whether it's health purposes, religious purposes, whatever it may be. There's a clear trend in the industry of sort of moving away from drinking alcohol. So we have a great, fresh lemonade program. We have a few flavors of lemonade available all the time. We also have these free spirit refreshers that we do, which are kind of a little bit more creative, non-alcoholic beverages. We still have a really robust whiskey menu. And I believe last time I checked, we have, over 100 whiskeys at each of our restaurants. And right now, actually, at our restaurants, we have this really awesome cocktail called a piggyback ride, and it's served in this really cool tiki mug that is designed after the flying pigs that you could see at each one of our restaurants. It's a really cool looking drink, and I love the name. It's made with a rye whiskey, so the piggyback ride I just thought was a super clever name, and I think Chris does an amazing job. We're super grateful to be able to work with him on these things.
Yeah, it sounds really fun. So, do you barbecue or smoke meats at home? Or do you kind of leave that at the office and try different things when you're cooking at home?
I would say most of my time spent barbecuing outside of work is at friends' houses. So if I go visit someplace, they're like, "Oh, are you going to smoke a brisket, or can we do some ribs, or something like that?" I typically don't do any of that kind of stuff at home because it's time consuming. It takes a lot of effort, and being in the restaurant business is busy and time consuming in itself. So at home, I typically I'm almost ashamed to say it. I don't even want to tell you what I eat because I'm trying to watch what I eat and lose some weight. So if I shared my diet with your listeners, it would probably bore them to tears.
It's okay. No, but what do you ever do any seafood like at Lucille's? Seafood smoked on the grill or on the barbecue?
At Lucille's, we have in the past certainly done smoked seafood items. What we've found is they're they're super low in popularity, honestly, among most people. I know that there's some people that love hot smoked salmon, I being one of them. But hot smoked seafood is kind of niche. So what we do is we when we bring seafood to life in the restaurant, we do it in ways that are more broadly appealing: grilling, blackening, frying. Right now we have a shrimp po' boy that we have on the menu. We have our whiskey barbecue glazed salmon. We have some seafood offerings available. Our gumbo has seafood in it. Our jambalaya has seafood in it. So we do have some offerings if there's a pescatarian out in the group that wants seafood.
Cool. And what kind of wood do you use? Is it different woods for different meats, or is it all the same?
We use two different types of wood typically, and for different purposes. So we use oak for its consistent heat, consistent smoke, and its slow burn. It just is a great, really dense wood that burns very evenly and very cleanly. And then we do use a little bit of hickory wood from time to time for the flavor component, not so much as a fuel source or to generate, the smoke that we need to actually get the smoke ring around it. It's just really to kind of lightly season the food. And I know that there's purists out there that will tell you have to use post oak, or you have to use this, or you have to use that. But that's what we found that works for us. And our guests have been telling us for 25 years that they love our barbecue. So we're going to keep going with that formula.
Now, do you take part in any of the competitions? You mentioned the Kansas City competitions, but do you take part in any of them, or do you attend and just taste?
So I have not done any barbecue competitions ever, actually. I have done other culinary competitions, but just not barbecue.
Mhm.
It's so from what I have seen and read, cooking, barbecue, and competition is a whole different animal. I mean, and is it something that I would like to dabble in someday? I think it would be a lot of fun just to try it. But there is a lot, I think, of preparation that needs to get done ahead of time. They are super specific about how you present the chicken thighs, how the brisket is cut, how the ribs are presented, and they like bust out rulers and stuff. So you have to be really knowledgeable, really well prepared, and certainly keep your hopes or your aspirations low for your first competition, because there are craftsmen and women who have been doing this for decades. So we want to, kind of learn from them if I were going to start doing this. But I have not attended a ton of barbecue competitions, but I have attended events where they have a bunch of barbecue, cook-offs, and I guess
Uh-huh.
it's not a KCBS sort of event, but Rib Fest and all these kinds of events that I've been to in the past, they're a lot of fun. And at best, it's a learning experience, and at worst, you get to just eat a bunch of food.
Right. For sure. It's a delicious experience. So what is next for Lucille's? Are you working on like fall items now, or do you do something special like for the summer that's about to
Um,
come out?
we are so at Lucille's right now. A big focus for us is trying to appeal to newer guests. We have our core guests that have been coming to us for a long time, and they bring their families, and so the chain continues. But we want to appeal to people who may view us as a celebratory place or a one-off place. We've done some really good innovation over the last few years as far as giving people more portion appropriate food for the time of day. We have a really great bowl program, a really great salad program, to appeal to folks to come in at lunch. And you know, we are working on a couple new items that we feel very excited about. And one of them is sort of a really, really special. I know it's going to downplay it, but we're working on some really amazing chicken nuggets. I know that sounds crazy, but
No.
part of the Southern sort of culture is fried chicken, and we're starting off with a really great high quality chicken, a really fantastic marinade, a very specific process on how we marinate them, a very unique and special flour dredge that goes on the outside. It's not just flour with a bunch of spices in it. There's some other things in there that give it really great texture. And then we have some really fantastic flavors that we're tossing these nuggets in, as well as serving it with a trio of ranch sauces that we make. So we make 4 different types of ranch dressing at Lucille's right now, and we're going to serve 3 of those 4 alongside of these because people love to dip, people love variety, people love sauce. I love sauce. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
anybody I talk to loves sauce, loves to dip, and
especially
and we want.
ranch. I mean, ranch is like the crazy most popular sauce in the country.
Right, exactly. So we're giving them our barbecue ranch, our classic ranch, and our avocado ranch, all as options to dip their chicken in. And we're still, working through some details on how to execute this at scale, but we're getting really close, and we can't wait for people to try them. We're super super proud of them.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a winner because people love chicken nuggets, chicken tenders. I mean, those are huge. It's been a lot of fun, Haim. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mayonnaise is a simple ingredient with a critical mission in professional kitchens. So why is selecting the right mayonnaise so complex? From extra heavy duty to real super premium, the category terminology causes unnecessary confusion. And the lack of standardization can lead to disappointing results, dissatisfied customers, and costly waste. Visit venturafoods.com/mayo needs to help you find the right mayonnaise for your operation.